Hi, is this good? Can people hear me? Yes. Good, okay. Horses. It's like that when you're 19. You can sleep on a bare mattress in the closet, and it's magical how the coats on their wire hangers flutter above you like black cloth birds, winged things unfolding. It's dark in your mind, too. All the books have yet to be read except Hemingway. They make everyone read Hemingway. And it's not certain yet that you won't be famous or dead at 27 or both. After all, your friends are strumming melodious guitars in the other room, and someone is thrashing a tambourine. The wild hoof of it stampedes over you like horses, and not just the first time you've taken your shirt off for him, because he's only looking at your green eyes. There was a windstorm. My mother didn't call me on my birthday, which shouldn't come as a surprise. She never does, birthday or no. And given that I'm now 33 years old, the same age Jesus was when he undertook his great work, dying, after being conceived immaculately and becoming a carpenter and having a dalliance with Mary Magdalene and forgiving people for all sorts of sins and teaching them not to throw stones and so forth, I know very little about it. I wasn't raised in the Christian faith, or any other forward, or backward for that matter. Who knows what went on in that house, or how she got on her knees that way? It's impossible to say, but any fool can see she is alone. Given that I'm now 33 years old, I shouldn't take it so much to heart when my mother doesn't call on my birthday. Or I should imagine other possibilities. Like when my friend says maybe the power went out in the town in Vermont where she lives, which might affect the phone lines and even the internet. But why would the power go out, I ask, to which he speculates, there was a windstorm. And I think this imagining is truly admirable, and I want to believe it. I do. Thank you. Thank you. This is a poem about a really bad date I went on recently. It's called Variety. The serious Russian man asks over wine and macaroni and cheese if I have any color in my wardrobe. Variety is the spice of life, he says. And I tell him he's very good who prefers simplicity in dress, and will therefore bore even a serious Russian man given enough time. When the check comes, he pays and escapes to the bathroom, and the Beatles song Blackbird comes on in the restaurant, and the innocent thrumming of the acoustic guitar hurts in my head and chest, so I go outside to sit in the rain, which sounds dramatic, which I guess I am, because it's only drizzling, but nevertheless I start to cry. I'm thinking of your side smile in the morning and the kisses without tongues you called chaste, and the way you tucked my hair behind my ear as if we'd been lovers for years, or at least months instead of just one night. I don't know what I'm allowed to hope for anymore. I had the whole thing once, a man to love me, but he didn't, not the way I needed him, so I made him leave. I had rings to prove it and a certificate, but everything was missing, and it was always raining, or it was about to rain. When the Russian man finds me outside, I say I don't feel well, and the rainwater masks my tears, or I hope it does. And he says he hopes it's not on his account, and I say who knows, because who does really, when all I want is to walk alone with my headphones in, crossing over the Gowanus Canal, and answer your text message, remembering your hair in my hands and your face against the nape of my neck in the morning when we were naked and I was unafraid. Thanks. Okay, one more. Keeping vigil. This is all I'll get, I know that. You on a borrowed bed in an old converted convent. No wonder you call me immaculate, though I'm not. I'm only pretending with my pixie cut and my white summer dresses. Just like you're pretending when at 2 a.m. you come to my room to borrow a pen, always the poet, and I let you in because I let everyone in, especially those who don't deserve it. So we talk about the books on my makeshift shelf, Plath, Sexton, Dickinson, all these American women, and I hope you won't notice the acne medications left out on my windowsill, the window being so very open, and the leaves of whatever kinds of trees these are in the yard held out flat and broad like a hand you trust and want to touch you. And we lay on top of the bed sheets, and it gets later, it being time. And you won't get under the covers, and I don't want to sleep even if you do. So all I do is listen to you breathing, because this will only last so long. I have to be here inside it, inside the breathing, yours, inside the blooming of lungs and the wind in the sycamores, at least that's what I think they are, inside the gentling of moonlight as night is ending.
After Tbilisi. Stray cats begged at our table as our faces grew moist, looking up at the sun. Enclosures followed, the tight space on the plane and then the cubicle. I ignored the eclipse, the way the shadows on the pavement repeated themselves like the words that fall in steady drops, overpowering the notations on calendars. We wake beneath the blanket from the market near the dry bridge. Once we drove toward the light, the tires against cobblestones, the shape of the moon calling us to the rows of jewelry, the repetition of desire for translucent beads around your neck.
I'm gonna try the microphone here. Can everyone hear me? I understand what ghosts are, and I go back late at night sometimes too. I have the key. I paddle moonlight, walking up the front steps. I haven't decided yet where you will be. Upon opening the door, I might find you asleep in the red lamplight. Or I might find you sitting cross-legged, looking at old photographs. Or maybe I'll find you in the tub, having a smoke, tipping ash into water iridescent with soap.
You gave me the key. There is a trick you didn't teach me, though there were often lessons. The way to peel a carrot, to cut an onion without crying, and to buy carnations instead of roses. You spun daily life like the plot of one of your romance novels. Your dress is always caught in the wind, even when there is only the breeze from the window. You invite the men over who leave their newspapers on the table so that you are subject to the nightly violence. Sometimes there is even a hand against your cheek, emphasizing the glow. The streets shine green, creating a map of our memories. Together we lived in this house until you started filling the walls.
I stripped down for you, and you smiled, said, "Let's go get some wine and head to the beach." Madness, very casual. We will lean against the logs and watch the stringy, tanned West End mothers pump strollers along the sidewalks in a perpetual jog, burning air like neon-muscled thoroughbreds. I suggest dinner at Lotus because they serve mussels that are truly sublime. And you laugh, flip your hair, say, "I detest seafood."
To want the same thing at the same time is almost impossible. I put on my heeled shoes to go dancing, even though I know the floor is sloped and it would be hard to stand if it weren't for the crowd of people pushing me with the rhythm of their bodies beneath the taxidermy fox to the sip of bourbon. Without you, I still move. I lie in bed, the sheet over me like a petal. I pretend I'm part of nature. My mouth moves as a bird trying to break free of this cage. If I close
masked.
my eyes.
Thought I saw a torso too, twisting in white lace. I wanted to press my lungs against the beast and breathe through jellyfish and seaweed.
I found it hard to breathe in the hospital, among the paper gowns and blinding white hallways. I imagined the flowers you got for me, which you said came back as undeliverable, their scent penetrating my lungs.
Plasma sunsets are dying in plastic bags. They hook limp into arms, chain link, linoleum, the color of sand. Outside, the sun cooks asphalt. The ferns and skunk cabbage ache. Parts of you are being radiated. Only your collarbones, only your throat, only your glasses melting. Tee-hee, your legs are sticking out.
We played those games, burying each other in the sand. He asked what brought on the depression, meaning he doesn't understand that it was there when I opened my eyes. I carried it with me since I was a little girl. Sometimes it even appeared in my safe place, the bedspread with the orange flowers, the painting of Jesus, the celery-colored walls. Then it was like being pushed beneath water, the chlorine stinging.
Sockets filled with blue ink pour like goblets, they runneth down my open throat. My split lungs butterflied, a technique one might use with a proper knife or legs. Crushed candy and an acid drip, shot through with stagger. Echo tube feeding, echo sewers, morphine, we're all tired. Echo not again.
We can hardly move our limbs. She pulled open her eye, revealing the blood. My head spun, and then my cheek against the linoleum floor. The day of pushing my way through crowds in the street, school children with backpacks and women with dyed hair. All I wanted was a latte, the foam pressing against my lips like the nicotine patch against her arm, feeding addiction.
As if underwater, like vine, her cut glass, her smoothness, streamed mannequin or salt. Big gulping mouths, the koi turned pebbles with their bellies. I threw a penny, watched it dance across the bridge, dipping back to bed the greased sheets, stray hairs and chocolate bar wrappers cut in between my toes, smeared on me. I pulled open my chest in two great bearing heaves and fell back asleep.
She spent time at the pharmacy to the sound of easy listening, her blood coursing to the softness. She was mesmerized by vitamins, those she used to swallow, one after another, in alphabetical order. She came away with peanuts, Christmas lights, and hair dye. In her house at the end of the line, I pull at her hair. I'm only worried about the back, what she can't see in the mirror. It is a surprise to her without the hospital gown and in the sweatsuit from the 99-cent store. Her boyfriend is as skinny as the wires he works with, putting the colors together in a game that sustains them.
She slumps in the tub, face glazed with red wine, cigarette smoldering to butt. How much longer, she thinks. How much harder, she thinks. The words ornery bitch squawk and repeat. It has been a bad night. She is feeling evil in the bathwater. She is one stroke away.
It has been a bad night. She told him she wanted a strong drink. When it wasn't enough, she would fling her body across a park bench. She wanted to be out with the rats for anyone to find her. Her dress covered in weeds, her limbs growing into the ground, her eyes like streetlights illuminating her loss.
And when she awoke, they collected mollusks, pried from the rock, later on the tongue gritty with sand, slick with butter and sage, they pointed to the stars with their toes, soft under the chin, a firefly, a phantom.
Whispering insects like the mosquito that buzzed in her ear when she was reading in bed. She was stuck on fairy tales, as if she was a child channeling secret loves. The fragile ones who live at the end of twisted hallways. She wanted them to be contagious, dreaming of sickness that would send her to a state where she could read 24 hours a day. She would certainly kiss them on the lips.
Like failure or sleep, she remembered in sediment, in incarnations, in topiaries, deafness sheared into thighs, geometric or fanciful.
Lying in the garden, her dress pulled up, and the skin of her thigh a canvas. Her teeth marks would create a design, or maybe the thorns of the roses now pressed to her chest.
Such gracious sinking into minutia, sepia, a vintage love. Raise one hand for me, please. I would like to watch the film stills clip by.
I would like to watch you holding the camera, standing above me as I lie in bed, having just awoken, sinking with the weight of your body. It is my skin beneath a magnifying glass, and with the sun shining that summer, I am in danger of burning like an insect.
Give me the pain lucidly, like medicine, clear green and pond-like. I will drink it as tincture, and then I will feel like this. Drive stalagmites deep into a photograph saturated with white. I am full, the capacity with which our bodies can distend with rot.
Decaying, the bridges that traverse rivers and freeways. Your head spins, wood creaks. The tough part is not flinging yourself into water or onto passing cars. You want to be of sky decaying.
From gray depths, birds chirp a laughing track. They are caught, unhinged on tree branches, in telephone wires. Yesterday, I awoke unnerved. I could hear static bursting somewhere. I reached under my pillow, a moth, furred, antenna probing my sheet. Big, glossy eyes calmly sizing me up, impenetrable chasms.
Reaching beneath the couch cushions, I found her earring, the one with the purple jewel. I remember it hanging from soft lobe. She wore those earrings on special occasions. They matched the purple striped dress and the snap of her purse filled with an endless supply of Kleenex. She once took me to the mall to get my ears pierced. The loosening hurt the most, twisting to end up with enough room to breathe.
You are in excess of art. There is too much you, it rolls and you bleeds and you pour yourself upright. You line green bottles along the peeling windowsill. You watch them fill with sunlight, you tattoo shadows. You pull you up, the you strung from inside, the you opaque, the you china smash, the you looking mirror smash. You were different that summer, you in polka dots, you without the heavy, the violet drag, the you one shoulder looking over at you. The you now, though, she is in excess of art. The you in silk, the you toughness, the you a grain, the you bearing down on glass.
You collect green beach glass. Our relationship was destroyed over cats and marriage, announced on the dark street with mouth wide open. You keep the pebbles of glass hidden in jars on the windowsill. They capture the sun coming off the ocean, and I envy your fluidity with nature.
You touched Pacific water for the first time in the crux of winter apricot, my hand held over yours, and I remember the sleeves of our winter coats were soaked and dripping, but it didn't matter really. I wanted you to taste the ocean, too, you wouldn't. We hiked up to the graveyard after, strolling, you and camel, reaching for Spanish moss, sidestepping mounds. We picked names, old, Victorian, French, Violetta, Alastair.
We took shelter behind the gravestones. Our fingers traced dates until we found one smooth. I put my ear to the ground to see if I could hear a phantom heartbeat, a spirit calling me to wrap my arms around, crushing the lace shroud. I am in love with ghosts, stiff gray hair and satin skin, but I could only feel the hard ground, the soft moss.
Our dead trees are chronic. They bite and disease our limbs, now rabid. I am watching the brim of your hat, under which your nose is cocked and haughty. Neon projections, red and green, force against the wall. The club is dank, a basement refuge. Queer figures elongate their bodies and bend, pulsating. We sweat. Doubles of gin and lime, measured fingers, hooded faces, I turn. The bruises are gone, fond of as we are of pain lapped in memory. We strike poses in the bathroom, which is a single bone, which is cellular, one comb of lacunae. We arch into the grout, suck in our stomachs, grin. We are vampish, we are mean. Our miniskirts are cutthroat. We are veritably dripping blood. We sniff gently. We know we will fuck later, so we beckon to the night and open our mouths.
The hard ground, but this time it is the kitchen floor, elbows against the linoleum. It is snowing outside, and the air inside is white. Finally, our bare feet against the floor where I spilt the sugar. As we moved to the bedroom, I left the window open, and the ledge is covered in snow. There is moisture on your forehead. The neighbor's heels create a rhythm upstairs. It sounds in our ears like the music from the club, our bodies remembering.
We spread sand flecked with mica, and even now, 2 years later, I try to swallow wet cherry blossoms which clot, or bars of sunshine, screams that threaten to rise like tsunamis. Yes, I remember the linoleum countertops, how cheap they looked, and the door that squeaked, an unspoken stretch of time swinging on its hinges.
Some gets under like varnish beneath nails. The color slips, an X-ray glows. He swings on her ribs' branches. He is always a child in the forest. She wants to turn her back, the thin straw of her spine, but he has superhero powers in her t-shirts. She breathes in the scents that linger, pressing cloth against cheek.
It was not a ritual. It was sea held in a glass jar. It was a canopy of wind. It curled in the fire, becoming corners, fetal. It danced a strange memory, melancholic. It pronounced the word disease enchantingly. It was matter, and it was strong as rope. I can still feel it. It was what I was not able to burn. It did not become kindling that day, and it did not powder the hearth.
Had I known the disease would be so lovely, I wouldn't have spent so much time repeating the word last. Back pressed to locker, I contemplated death. I wanted a way to get there faster. Have you ever thought of soaking your wedding dress in poison and marching to the church? I fainted at the altar. Some blamed the fragrance of the lilacs.
Some days it seems inconceivable, the whole sun contained. I have, as a matter of fact, broken through the window. I am beyond stasis now, organic, pressed into form, striking dullness.
I carried my body in jars. In one is a lock of hair, in another is a puddle of blood. There is no limit to what can be contained. I want to harness your energy. In your excitement, there are novels. You breathe on me, and I have visions.
Bitter, bitter, my unhung flowers, speaking across the ice. We fill the wine glasses with smoke, sip, and toast. I croon into the darkness. I am trying to dredge up something gigantic as an anchor.
I am combing the bottom, hoping to find your ring. You lost it the day after your wedding during a swim, and it has been so long that we'll have to check the inside for your initials. But maybe they have already been rubbed away, shiny as the inside of a seashell.
When I walk past, I see you standing in every window, every wave, and every mirror unfolds, making petals, unsheathing skin to draw our mouths up from the cold, salt air and make figurines of us.
I see you in the concession stand window, which slides open, and then I order cotton candy, popcorn, anything to have you resurface, where I saw you sick with sweets. I ride the Ferris wheel from the top. Ground looks like sky, the buildings stars, the sea blue, and I don't know where the truth is anymore.
They say history is hysterical, and I think yes. Painted clown faces which drip wax-like into urns. I turn to engulf your eye, one hot stone clutched in my palm, and think a husk, this gentle crispness.
Thank you, everyone, for coming, and stick around and have a drink. And also, if you are interested in looking at a chapbook, then please come see us. Thank you.